Hi everybody, this is Alan Dudek from PDI Media. We make MIDI and audio software. The purpose of this video is to show you how to install, how to set up, and how to operate the Wall software. You may wonder how MIDI software got to be called the Wall. Well, a few years back on the television, I kept hearing people saying, build the wall, build the wall. Well, I took it to heart and we did. So here we go. Let's get started here. Before we do, there's a few caveats that we have and a few suggestions. The first one is that the Wall software operates best on a monitor that supports 1920 by 1080 resolution. If you don't have something that, or better, if you don't have something that at that resolution, well, we're going to, you're going to have to resize the screen or scroll around a bit. It'll still work, but it operates better at that resolution. Next, while you're watching this video, we hope you play along with the software. So I'll be demonstrating in the video what to do on the screen, and I want you to be able to operate the software in real time and do the same things. To do that best, we suggest that you view this video on another screen, on a separate one. So maybe you've got two monitors, put the video on one and the application on the other. Maybe you can run the video from a tablet or from another computer. Finally, we're going to be using our sound card, a sound making device, an audio device, and a MIDI device to make sound. So I want to make sure that your audio device and your MIDI device is plugged in and ready to go and turned on and available to the operating system, especially if they're USB devices. Okay, let's get started. I am going to take us to our share our desktop. Now, the assumption here is that you have already downloaded the software since you're viewing our video, and you follow the instructions in the email, and the Wall zip file is sitting here on your screen. I am going to annotate this so we can see just a little bit better. And you'll notice we have our getting started video, which you're watching, and we have the Wall 3009.zip file that you are going to use to install the software. So to install the software, we are going to right-click on the Wall zip file, and we are going to select Extract All. When this dialog box pops up, notice that it's asking us where we want to put it, and we're going to put it on the desktop. We're going to leave it right where it's being suggested by the operating system. So it's going to say desktop, and it's going to say the Wall 3009. Make sure that this little checkbox here is checked so that it opens up after the extraction. All right, then when we're ready, we're going to click on Extract. While the extraction's taking place, I am going to pause this video recording, and I'm going to catch you on the other side when the extraction is completed. Okay, the extraction is complete, and we can see that we have on our PC, we have the desktop, the Wall, and we have opened the folder, and the contents of the folder should be showing. We have 3 folders and 2 files. One of those 2 files, the first one listed, is going to be the Wall 3009.exe. It's an executable, and it's going to be of type application. Notice also that is a much larger size than the other one. So to open up and launch the program, we are going to double-click on the Wall 3009.exe. Now, if you were popping up the screen as unopened, you may have gotten a dialog box, a security warning, or a security dialog box that's going to ask you if you want to use UDP networking. This application, like all of our applications, can network with other applications through UDP. You can. We're not going to be using that function during this video, so when you get that dialog box, if you get it, go ahead and just dismiss it or say yes or no. It doesn't matter which you do for this demonstration. Okay, so when your window here is up, go ahead and maximize it, and then we'd like you to notice that this has 5 voices going vertically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each voice has a bunch of parameter settings moving horizontally. Okay, so The first thing we need to do to set this up is to make sure that our audio device is operating properly. We're not going to be creating audio in this demo. However, we use the audio device's timing information to make sure that our MIDI is stable and regular, our MIDI timing. So what we're going to do here is scroll up here to the beginning, move our mouse here in this little cyan area, and we're going to go to this button called Audio Prefs. This button right here where my cursor is right below the Audio On green button. So we're going to click on Audio Prefs. It is going to bring up this little dialog box and it's going to ask us to select our audio driver. The first line here gives us the opportunity by clicking to select what audio device we want to use. Use whatever you normally use for your DAW or for recording or for regular audio. I'm going to use my Motu Audio ASIO driver, and if you don't have an external one, although we ask that, it's probably better, it'll work better with an external one, run the Microsoft Direct Sound driver, but we're going to run the Motu Audio. Once we've got that, we can close that dialog and we can see that we're ready. We're going to only operate here with voice 1. So the first thing we need to do is to set up our MIDI. We have to make sure that our application is outputting MIDI to the proper port. And we can set that up here on the right in the global area underneath the wall. Notice we have something called global voice right there, and the settings here impact all of the voices at the same time. So it's a quick way to make global settings. So we're going to come down here to where it says Outport, this little cyan drop-down menu, and we're going to click on it. And then we're going to select our MIDI device, like you would in any other application. Notice that globally, this has set the output for each of the 5 voices. We could have set them individually as well, but we didn't. All right, so now we're ready to make some sound. So now what we have to do is load up our voice with information to be played. To do that, let's first turn on the voice. Let's come way over here to the left to the red button where it says off, turn it, and click on it, and it'll toggle to on. All right, notice if you click on it, it toggles on and off. The button above it toggles all the voices on and off. We want to make sure that just voice 1 is turned on. So now we're ready to load some information into here. Well, there's a lot of different ways to load information into a voice in the wall. We're going to do the simplest one, which is to enter it through your computer keyboard. Notice we have these 3 parameter settings here, and the play percentage, the pitch, and the velocity. Let's start with the play percentage. Notice we have 16 steps going this way. Each of those steps can play a certain percentage of the time between 0% and 100%. At 0%, it won't play at all. At 100%, it'll play 100% of the time. Anything in the middle, like 50%, will play it only half the time. So this way you can get some spaces here stochastically. So we can either set these values individually for each of the 16 steps by clicking on the number box and typing something in or scrolling our mouse up and down, or we can set them all at the same time over here. So I'm going to go over here to this set number box and I'm going to type in 100 and hit enter. And notice it has set everything to 100. Now, we could have just scrolled up and down in that box by clicking on it and scrolling on it, or we could have used the increment and decrement buttons, keys on our computer. So now we've got 16 steps playing 100% of the time. Let's move to the pitch row. It's now set to the lowest MIDI note. You won't even hear it. So let's go back over here to the global pitch for that voice and type in C3. C3, of course, is middle C. So now it's all set to C3. We could have set them individually. We could move them up and down. We could do whatever we wanted to do. Now we're set to all 0 velocities. Let's set that to a velocity that we can hear. Let's say 105. Type 105 in. Again, we could scroll up and down and change it. We could set them individually. So we should now be ready to hear C3, middle C, played 100% of the time on velocity 105. To do that, we press the start button in the upper left-hand corner. And there you can hear it. We can change the velocity here by clicking on this number making it less or making it more. We can change the pitch globally. We can also change the play percentage. You'll start hearing rests. Set it back to 100. We could change each individually. Let's set. So now we have different notes on each of the steps. We can also put accents in. Let's accent 1 and 9. We can add and subtract. And we can scale. All right, let's stop that. That's the very simplest way to enter data, and sometimes it's not the most efficient or the most musical way to do it. So we've got a bunch of other ways. Let's show you the next easiest way to do it, and that is to use the pitch quantize and load scales and chords in. So to do that, we first must arm the voice to accept data. We do that by clicking on the red record here. Notice it toggles on and off under record notes. Now this voice has been armed to record information in a number of ways from a number of sources. We're going to go back over here to our global area, and we see what we have here on the far right, something called pitch quantize. Well, we're going to go down under pitch quantize to the first drop down, and we're going to click on it. And you'll see a lot of scales and chords show up. We are going to scroll down and pick Chromatic 128. Notice it pops up and it's showing now in our menu. Now to load that into our voice number 1 that's set to record and is armed, we click on the Load Q1 for Quantize 1 button here under Pitch Quantize. Notice that C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E has been loaded into each of the 16 steps of voice number 1. So let's turn record off so we don't change any of that stuff. And now let's hit play. We hear a chromatic scale that has our accents as we had before. Let's even out all of the velocities. Let's now set the play percentage to 100. Let's bring the play percentage down. We can transpose by clicking Add. And we can transpose down. Okay, we're going to stop it. Well, we've now seen some of the very, very elementary and simple ways that this works. Rest assured that there are plenty of very sophisticated ways we're going to manipulate this information to be able to create very interesting and very musical harmonies, melodies, and rhythms. Okay, everybody, thanks for viewing. I hope that you were able to follow along and get started. There will be many more videos that will show us how each of these parameters and functions work and give you some ideas of how to best get the most musical and interesting results from the Wall software. Well, see you again next time. Bye now.